We have Jonathan with Powur. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much. Good to be with everybody today. Okay, wow. Third time I think that Power is on WeFunder. We have quite the history with WeFunder, so it's good to be back with all of you and excited to provide updates on the company. It's been a heck of a year for the solar industry. If anybody's followed the residential solar industry over the last 18 months, it has been a wild ride. No question about it. We have dealt with massive changes in consumer financing. We have dealt with massive changes in policy. There has been enormous pressure placed and put on our industry. And I think where all of that is going is a huge curation around the businesses and the teams and the models that are actually going to own the future of residential solar and energy storage. And that, my friends, is what I have spent the last 10 years of my life dedicated to. This company has been a beast to build, a beast. I truly think residential solar has got to be one of the hardest industries in the world. And I don't think I would do it again. I'll be honest. And the best reason to do it, I think this may be the only reason to do it. This is certainly what drives me every day, is the mission. If you don't believe that the world should be powered by solar panels and that it is a better model and a better way to generate electricity from your rooftop, from the sun, and store it in a battery and consume that energy whenever the heck you want, and take control of those costs and take control of the energy production and take control of the whole thing and kiss the utility goodbye and say, you know what, Mr. Utility, thanks, but no thanks. I'm done with your endless rate increases. I'm done with your grid instability. I'm done with you passing along all of your inefficiencies and everything else. And I'm going to be in charge of my own energy future. I'm going to make sure it's clean. I'm going to make sure I'm doing the right thing for the environment. I'm going to make sure I'm safe and resilient. And I always have what I need for my family and for my home. If you believe that, that is the reason why you should be an investor in Power. And that is the reason why anyone should be a member or a contributor to residential solar and energy storage, because man, it really is about the mission. I don't know any other way to say it. I think outside of the mission, it's not as fun. So in any case, let me back up a little bit. Power has been on a tear the last 10 years. The company has generated over $1.2 billion in revenue. We have hit the Inc. 5000 4 years in a row. We were number 43 on the Inc. 5000 in 2022. We were number 62 or 63 or something like that the year before. So we've hit some pretty big growth and done some pretty big numbers. The way that we did that was we essentially came up with a totally new idea for how to sell residential solar. And we built a platform that bypassed all of the middlemen. It bypassed sales organizations, it bypassed solar companies, national solar companies, and we went directly to the actual individuals that are out there, generating leads, acquiring customers, and selling solar every day. And we essentially said to them, hey, look, we are going to give you access to, the lowest pricing you can get access to. We're going to create a nationwide EPC platform just for you, where you have all the tools. You don't need to sign up with companies and everything. We're going to provide it for you. And you can quote your own systems, design your own systems, sell your own systems. You can have access to all the best equipment and essentially, as an individual, earn more and build a more lucrative career, in solar with Power than you can anywhere else. And that model worked, and it worked really well. And Power scaled to thousands and thousands and thousands of these individual sellers that utilize our platform, pay for our platform on a monthly basis, and sell a lot of solar. about $1.2 billion worth so far. And, when I think about, okay, what was the last 5 years? It was really this individual seller channel at a time when interest rates were really low. So everyone was selling loans and loans were flying off the shelf. And it really juiced demand in our industry and juiced demand in our space. And you also had, net metering policy that was really favorable. And net metering policy essentially says, I'm going to let you sell your electron back to the grid, and I'm going to give you a 1-for-1 credit for it. Well, what we saw this year is, obviously the shift in interest rates completely changed the financial landscape. And many of our sellers have now shifted from loans to leases. And in some of the major markets across the country, we've seen net metering go away. And what this is doing is it's essentially applying a massive pressure to our entire industry. The whole solar industry right now is forced to evolve and really learn how to sell energy storage, how to first bring the cost down of energy storage, which thankfully is happening. The competitive pressure with manufacturers right now is off the charts. And I love Tesla right now. Tesla is changing the game. They're having a bit of a supply chain issue, but that's kind of good because demand is off the charts for their newest Powerwall 3. But this Powerwall 3 is unbelievable. It has literally brought the cost of energy storage probably down about 40% since 18 months ago. We were selling energy storage at around $26,000, $27,000 for 27 kilowatt hours of storage on our proposal. By the end of this year, with Tesla's newest product that's coming out in about 2 months, that's going to be around $16,500. So we're seeing crazy decline in the cost of energy storage. And that is really exciting because what I think what I really think America's been waiting for before solar truly goes mainstream is for the combination of batteries and solar to be grid parity. And it was kind of like this net metering thing was always the training camp for the industry. It was never really going to be fully mature when you were dependent on a policy that the utilities can take away at any moment. And when you're no longer dependent on that policy and you can actually go to market and you can compete with real grid parity, what does a homeowner pay for a kilowatt hour of electricity? And can I deliver that kilowatt hour of electricity with solar and with batteries? That is the moment where our industry breaks free from this relationship that we've been in, always having to negotiate with utilities and figure this out and blah, 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 blah. And why does a homeowner say no? If I can have solar and batteries and pay the same cost per kilowatt hour by being connected to this monopoly utility that's going to raise my rates forever, and that might, break, it might fail, it might crash, there might be a week or 2 or 3 I don't get any electricity. Why does a homeowner say no? And I genuinely believe that we are on the cusp of grid parity in majority of the markets across the US for solar and energy storage. And the domestic content rebates are getting real. And I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you guys, but you got to dig into this stuff. The Inflation Reduction Act is a game changer for our industry, an absolute game changer. And inside the Inflation Reduction Act, if you are utilizing domestic content, that means equipment that was manufactured in the United States of America, you qualify for an additional 10% tax credit on the entire system. And there's more provisions inside the IRA that make that even higher. So we are just now starting to see, it took 2 years for the Treasury to really clarify these guidelines, and we're just now starting to see the major financial benefit of all of that domestic content tax credit pull through, to pricing, to rebates that we have access to. And this is all kind of coming together in 2025, where the cost of the equipment has come down dramatically. The IRA benefits are fully kicking in. It's been hell on the solar industry over the last 18 months, and companies have been forced to adopt and find cheaper ways to install these projects, be more efficient, master the value proposition of solar plus energy storage. And I really think that, through this process, the opportunity is consolidation. And there's just not going to be that many big national solar providers that really put this whole value proposition together and nail these models and figure it out. And we've seen that herd thin massively. And my vision is to be one of them. I think Powur absolutely has the chance to be a top three residential solar and energy storage provider. We are currently about number 10 in America. And I want to get us from number 10 to number 3. That's where you guys come in. So hope that was helpful.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonathan. Okay, there I am. First question is, what is your revenue in 24 expected to be?
170 million.
Okay. And you said you've been in business how long?
10 years.
Okay. I'm actually been getting quotes on solar. So this is interesting to hear you talk about all this.
Gail, we need to talk.
I will give you all. So basically we're looking at a 20 panel ground mount system in Tennessee that should be close to 100% of our costs or of our needed electricity. One battery. We've been told that it's not Tesla, it's another brand, starts with an F maybe. And next year they have a better battery. And so we're going to do the install in February. And so the install plus the equipment is all about $50,000.
I need more details to be able to comment, but one battery sounds alarming. I think one of the huge issues that we've seen over the last 12 to 18 months is really just how much energy storage is required to really get the design of these systems correctly, because solar produces all of its peak production in the middle of the day. And once that battery fills, if you still have 2-3 hours more of production and you are in a market that has no net metering, you shed all that value. You can't get compensated for it. And homeowners get left with a pretty substantial utility bill. So this is I think one of the big things the solar industry needs to solve is more controls and systems around design at proposal stage that kind of guarantee the expected value proposition for the consumer, especially in a world where energy storage is increasingly required and you're not getting a 1-for-1. And I think Tennessee is a market that does not have net metering. So
they do, but you make basically nothing on it.
Yeah. So if your battery is undersized and on 20 panels, one battery sounds risky.
So
you
I guess
shedding that back.
That is the question that I have. I mean,
we're digressing a bit.
how are you thinking about storage? Because it is a big issue for folks that have not looked into this. One battery equals about 1 day of power if it's fully charged. So, you can't really use it beyond a day. And I think, if you can
But the great thing is you don't need to, because more or less the sun comes out every day. So even if it's super cloudy, UV rays are coming through, you'll have some production, you'll have some production loss, but every single day, that battery is going to be recharging starting at 8 in the morning or whatever the heck it is, depending on the orientation of your panels, right? Whether they're east, northwest.
How many batteries are you usually installing?
We install about 2, but the key question is how many batteries does someone need? And that's based on the consumption of the home, right? How much energy are they using? That determines how large of a system you need to build. And based on the system you're building, you've got to size your storage to be able to accurately collect 100% of that production and not shed it back to the grid.
Do you use a bunch of different installers, or are they all part of your company?
Yeah, so this is Powur's we are the only platform model in solar that utilizes a distributed labor network. The only one. Every single one of our competitors is a centralized model, vertically integrated, and we decided, I don't know why, maybe I'm crazy, but I've just loved decentralization. I want to figure out how to do this decentralized. I don't want to house all the equipment. I don't want the warehouses. I don't want the trucks. I don't want the leases. I don't want everything. So we built our platform to basically manage contractors and control the construction operations processes, so that we kind of have all the controls around site survey to permitting, design, interconnection, inspection, etc. But really, we're utilizing a network and optimizing the heck out of our local contractors to install. And that's been what we've been focused on for 5 years. And it's been really hard, but we have gotten further than any company in history around how to actually really do it and maintain consistent customer experience, consistent quality, consistent cycle times, consistent NPS scores. And
My
that's what we've
two
been focused.
questions. What are your net margins and how much or what percent are you taking out of the total price that you have to charge because you don't have commissions?
So we do have commissions. I view one of our most important financial metrics to me is really gross profit after commission, because our fundamental sales and marketing expense is our commission.
I must have misheard you. I thought you said you didn't have commission.
No, we have our sales reps have some of the biggest commissions that they can get at Powur because of the way we price our model. We offer a wholesale, like we are essentially a massive national solar provider that goes to an individual sales rep and says, here's COGS, here's what we're actually able to build this system for. And we're going to give you as an individual that pricing power, so that you can go in your negotiations with customers or this or wherever and decide where you want to price your jobs. So commission is our major sales and marketing expense, and the reps commission is kind of how they run their business. They're doing various advertising and marketing campaigns and all these things with that expense. So gross profit after commission, if commissions are included in gross profit, we're 35%. Gross profit after commissions is 15.5.
Katie, Nick, do you have any questions?
Yep. Thank you again, Jonathan. One of the questions that we have is, so looking beyond your IPO goal, how do you see Powur's role evolving in the broader energy transition landscape, and what capabilities will you need to develop to fulfill that vision?
Yeah, I love that question. And this is, I think, why I've been fighting so hard the last 10 years. I really get worried that if residential solar and energy storage has no other model except the same model we've seen for the last 20 years, which is these centralized, vertically integrated companies. Like, what if that there's been a carnage in that space? Carnage, these are not resilient infrastructure models. So when volume swings, it is so hard to scale down these massive warehouse, leasing, truck, insurance, employee infrastructures. And so I think about decentralization and I'm like, God, our industry needs another way to do this. And I think we are being tested right now. I mean, look, our $170 million revenue, guys, is half of the revenue we did in 2023. It's half. Powur is going through a massive test right now where we are being pressure tested on how resilient is this distributed model. And thank God, we've been able to maintain cash. We've been able to preserve cash advantage. We've been able to preserve a solid working capital model. We've been able to scale down employees where we needed to scale down employees, but we didn't have to shed all the other physical infrastructure. And I think it's important that you see how these types of energy is a really difficult market and a difficult business, and it's prone to cyclical swings. Energy is a different animal. So your models have to be able to survive the cyclical nature of what I think the energy markets are. And I think that we're getting that test right now. We're really proving that decentralized can do that. And you don't need to have $1 billion in the bank to make it through one of these cycles. The model itself has resilience. And I think that's important. And I think we need to be successful, taking that model to scale so that the future of residential storage and solar in America has a chance to scale to greater heights than it might otherwise. And one of the things really scaring me right now, honestly, Nick, too, is just there are so few teams working on this. I mean, with what we're freaking seeing with the hurricanes and the weather events, and like, it's so obvious that this is a problem. And there are so few teams in America right now working on how we scale residential solar and energy storage. What the heck? What the heck? You know, there's not that many, that we need more teams. And I just think it's such a tough industry that people are shying away because it's so damn hard. And like, that's where the mission comes in. Like, if you are mission powered, you fight through things that people who aren't mission powered just aren't willing to fight through, truly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan.